How do you get your wedding send-off photos to look like this? In this video, I'll be telling you how to get the settings to get that shot right every time. Let's get it. Hey, what's up? I'm Omar Eltakrori. I'm a freelance photographer, and this channel is all about helping you take better photos. And so if you're into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell to be notified every time I post videos, which I've been failing airtime, but I'm trying to get more consistent. Hence, this is why I'm doing a video while I'm driving, which maybe not be the best thing, but I don't want to let the production side of things get in the way of me creating content. And you know, when the idea comes in my head, I want to be able to put it out. But I just thought of the idea of, you know, like to actually know your settings when you're shooting this moment. And I'm hoping that you're actually watching this video before that moment actually happens. If it already did, do not worry. The reason why I learned was because I took it wrong for the first wedding I shot that had a send off. Not every wedding do they do it. Sometimes the night gets late. They don't really work it into the plan. And yeah, but nonetheless, if it does go well, I want you to make sure you have everything in your arsenal to make sure that picture turns out super great. So the first thing I want to say is what not to do, and the big mistake I did was to use a flash. Don't use a flash. If we're talking sparklers here, you don't want to use a flash because your photo will turn out like this. And I was super bummed that the photo came out like this, and I had literally, when I was first doing it, I was like, how do I do this? Like everyone that I'm seeing on Instagram and like all the pictures I'm seeing of these sparklers, it's like, it's all bright and like the sparklers are lighting them up. And I found the flash overpowered the sparklers. Obviously, hindsight 2020, that's why you're watching this video and you're getting all the knowledge before you're actually gonna do it. Don't use a flash to shoot your sparkler send off, and it's because the flash will overpower the actual sparklers. You want the sparklers to be the light source in the photo. And so that's tip number one, is just to not use a flash source. I think you can by all means use a light source. Like if there's a video guy, he'll probably want to, but that's not a deal breaker because the light can be controlled if it's a continuous light. So that's just the biggest, that's the big do not do. Do not use a flash. The second tip I have is to shoot in RAW. This will allow you to, you know, bump up the exposure as much as needed, and RAW just gives you the amount of grace and dynamic range that you may need in order to edit in post. So like an example like this, here's the original shot of this send-off photo. Now this is the photo edited, the same exact photo. And by the way, I applied my preset. If you want to get in my presets, I'll put that in the card in the YouTube description. Just shameless plug, sorry. But yeah, shoot in RAW, and it's because you want to be able to bump up that exposure. You want to bring down those highlights and bring up those shadows, and shooting in RAW will allow you to do that. Tip number two is low aperture. You want to make sure your aperture is at anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5. I don't typically exceed 2.5, maybe 2.8 if you like have like, you know, a zoom lens that's fixed at 2.8, which is cool. But that's why it's important to have prime fixed lenses, because usually they come fast. So for instance, the famous Canon Nifty 50, it's a $100 lens that you can get, that you can shoot at 1.8 and get that super blurry background. But even more so in a scenario like this, you want to be able to get as much light into the camera as possible. So tip number two is low aperture. And the fourth tip is to know your camera's settings. And what do I mean by that? That is ISO and shutter speed. Some cameras, you can crank up that ISO really high. Like I use a Sony A7 Mark III, and the ISO range is super, for usability on an image, is super high. I think I can use like 12,800 and I can get by with a good picture. Some grain, but definitely usable. But if you're shooting crop censored cameras, or if your camera just doesn't go that high, or it's not wise to go that high, just to know that setting. Like practice before the wedding to know like, oh, 6400 is usable. Oh, 3200 is totally usable. So understand the max ISO range for your camera. And secondly, the shutter range for your camera. I have found that human hands can't really hold a camera still lower than 1/60th of a shutter. That's even tough when you're taking into consideration the couple. Maybe if you're doing the running through shot, you're gonna want to crank that shutter up to eliminate motion blur. But my camera has in-body image stabilization, also has stabilized lens. So I have a dual stabilizer in my camera that allows me to shoot as low as like 1/40th of a second, which will even allow more light into the camera. And so just to know your camera settings is huge. If all else fails, crank up that ISO, and you know, you're probably gonna be all right. The fifth tip is to control the people. So you as the photographer, you have full range and control over what is gonna happen during this send-off, because I can promise you that this couple wants this photo to be cool and you wanna take it right. So by all means, make sure you control this whole thing, because it can get pretty chaotic. It's the end of the day. They're about to go away for good on their honeymoon. They probably have had a few drinks, and so just taking also the guests, and so take all these things into consideration. Just a quick little story of one I just did recently, of the one example I showed, is the road was really wide, and you know, people, you know, in their minds are like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the end of the road. No, me as a photographer said, like, we need to crowd the couple in. So I had people bring it in, and you know, you wanna light the couple up as far as the attendees go, and so make sure the guests are listening to what you're saying. You want to make sure this image comes out right. And so that might be just also another power tip, is just to have them come as close as possible without obviously burning the couple, but you do want them close. You don't want them spread out far. The sixth tip is to take two types of photos during this whole thing: the run-through photo and then the pose photo. Now this is what you want to do. Before the couple actually runs through and the sparklers get lit, you want to go to the end of the line and tell that group of people, hey, when they get to the end, I want you guys to crowd around behind them. And why is that? Is so that you can get that final pose shot. This will actually also help you if you want your shutter low and your ISO a little bit lower, because now they're not running and moving. You can have them dip or what have you, but you want to shoot them running through, and you want to shoot them pose at the end. But talking to the end guests at the end of that line is super key, so they understand what to do when that moment happens, and it's not like awkward. It's just, there's a solid fluid motion. And then yeah, you just have the couple run through, and you're just bursting away while you're running backwards. Maybe get someone to guide you too if you have an assistant, or grab a guest and have them guide you so you don't run into somebody or a sparkler and burn your life away. Just kidding. And then at the end, have them pose, kiss them on the, you know, kiss, dip. I love using this to do a dip. Also, like, hey, you guys kiss real quick, and just keep on shooting. You want to shoot like crazy during these parts, and hopefully that in all of that you actually got one image. But I do have a power tip, and that power tip is, I shot a wedding where the bride expected for the venue to have sparklers ready at hand. Most venues will actually have them at hand, or it will be coordinated prior to with the planner or the wedding coordinator or what have you. However, this wedding I shot, the bride was hoping that they had sparklers, and I saw it in her face. She would literally started to tear up. At the end of her wedding day, she started to tear up, and I thought through, and I was like, I am not having this. So, you know, with the amount of guests that were still there to do the send-off, because it was part of the wedding, I had everyone take out their phones, turn on their flashlights, and I had them do it, you know, this is the picture. So awesome, right? Like, this not only obviously made her night, because she was really looking forward to this shot. Like, a lot of people love this shot, this wedding send-off shot. And yeah, you can make it happen. This kind of goes back to the last couple tips, is to control the people. Like, you have full control. People think that, like, this ain't happening unless you say something, especially when they start to run. That doesn't happen until you say, all right, you guys can start running. So that was just a power tip. If they don't have sparklers and they don't even have it planned in their thing, by all means, like, make that phone flashlight thing, and you got it from me, but you know, use it for you, and then hopefully your brand accelerates and people want you to shoot their weddings, because you're like, dude, that dude was dope, that girl was dope, who would have thought of that? I got you. So there you have it. Those are all the tips. I think with all those taken into consideration, you know, you can get that money shot. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'm pretty active on answering back comments. And also, have you ever messed up a moment like that, like taking the wrong image? Obviously, I'm glad that my friend was like, dude, this picture is tight. I knew for myself I did it wrong, but they weren't like super bummed that I took that first one with flash. And we all learn, man. Like, be encouraged. then this is why you're watching the video, so you don't have to make the mistake like I did. But if you do make mistakes, it's okay, because you're probably not gonna make them again, and that's the whole reason why we're getting better with photos. And I hope you keep crushing it. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, make sure you follow me on Instagram, Omar Etlakrori. And other than that, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you got value out of this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Maybe I'll be driving, maybe I'll be sitting, but I'm gonna pump out more of these videos because I want to help you. So I hope you have a good one. Take it easy.